morning, everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the Nithin Sports Rush, back with another episode. Happy Monday. It's an early episode, and I hope everyone had a great weekend. Now we are into a new week, and I can't believe it's already almost October. So, this year's flying by, and but I am joined by a really special guest. His name is Brandon Phillips. He is a international polo player. Amazing story, and shout out to our friend MJ Pardone for setting this up. She's one of the best in the business, and she's well connected. So shout out to her again for setting this up. But before I bring in Brandon Phillips, I want to explain a little about him. So he's an international polo player, and his story is such an inspiration. He's won so many awards, prestigious awards during his competitions, and he's also a cancer survivor, which is amazing. And we'll get to that and his story, his journey. And he also has he started a foundation. It's called Polo for Life. He helps children, families with financial issues and disabilities, and we'll get to all of that. And without further ado, I want to bring in Brandon Phillips, international polo player. Thank you for joining, Brandon. And like I said, shout out to MJ. She is one of the best in the business and well connected. So, Brandon, thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, I'm sure, but how are you and your family doing? Welcome to the show and welcome to the family.
Hey, thank you very much. It's great to be here. Yeah, thank you to MJ for setting this up. So happy to be here and happy to speak with you this morning.
Yeah. So before we get to your story, what's it been like for you to be working with MJ alongside her and seeing her how she goes about her business and the way she's connected with a lot of people, and what's it like working with her?
No, it's been fantastic. I've known MJ for many years. I used to play a lot in New York. Now back in New York, obviously, but back probably 10 years ago. So I hooked up with MJ and her company, and they've been great. You know, they're always something. If anything, I probably drive her nuts on the things I can't do. But she's constantly setting up fun things and meeting people and getting to meet people like yourself. So she's been great to work with for many years.
Yeah, well said. And for you, Brandon, how did you get into polo? The sport, it's a tough sport, and obviously takes a lot of practice being with the horse and all. But just talk about your journey and how you got into the sport of polo.
It's a little random hearing because I'm originally from Canada, just north of Toronto. So there's not too many polo players that come out of Canada. So there's probably, at the moment, there's probably about 4 or 5 of us that are actually professionals. But no, I grew up on a horse farm. My family was very into horses. Like I said, about 45 minutes north of the city. My grandmother's, aunts, uncles, my mother, they're all more into the equestrian side as far as the show jumping, fox hunting, race horses, all that kind of stuff. Then my father started playing polo for fun with his friends at the Toronto Polo Club, which happened to just be about 10 minutes down the road from us. So we were kind of weekend warrior stuff, and we had a few horses always. And so we'd go, my father, my brother, and I would go, and, there was no professionalism. There was no professionals. There was just kind of all guys getting together, Tuesday, Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons, or Saturday mornings it was. So it was just a fun way to just kind of in the summers with family. Obviously being Canadian, hockey is all I really wanted to do. So I was playing hockey as much as possible. And in the summers was kind of with the horses. So grew up just kind of doing that. And as everything unfolded, I got asked by a professional team in Florida when I was 17 to come down. And the next thing I know, I was getting paid to play polo, which wasn't expected. And I've done it now. This will be my 31st season being a professional.
Wow, that's amazing. And you already won prestigious awards, which we'll get to. But what was it like growing up in Canada? And hockey's popular there, and you got Canadian football now that's popular there. But what was it like just as in your early life growing up with your family there in Canada?
No, it was great. It was a really, really good childhood. It was, we lived on a farm. My school was very close. I went to the country day school, which was there in King City, which was fantastic. I went there my whole life from kindergarten we had grade 13 at the time. So, 14 years in the same school. So it was nice. Family all lived around there. Everyone was within probably 20 minutes. So very kind of country living, but very nice. And it was a great childhood. A lot of sports. Playing hockey obviously was my priority, but everything from baseball to rugby to it's a lot of soccer. Our school was big in soccer, So we did I think I played everything except football. It was the only thing our school or town didn't offer, but played a lot of hockey for the town in the city. So it was fun. It was a very, very fun childhood.
Wow. Yeah. So what do you say? Playing multiple sports helped you out to become this one of the greats in the polo sport. Like obviously, you need a lot of agility, and so what do you say? Playing multiple sports helped you out?
Absolutely. I mean, especially the team aspect. They're all team sports. So, learning to, like they say, fight for your teammate and
Yeah.
stick up for your teammates and to be a team player. And that's kind of what I've translated my whole career is to make sure I'm the best teammate I can be. But playing all sports, obviously, yes, it helps. Each sport has something that's you're going to benefit from, from learning from either just the skill set to the mental side of it. So everything has helped for sure.
And I want to get to your inspiring story. And you overcame cancer, stage 4 lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And just talk about that journey and how tough was that when you heard the news and going through that. And obviously, after you overcame it, how relieved were you?
Yeah, that was obviously a massive shock. I was 14 years old. It was 1992. It's like June 7th was the morning I woke up and my leg was swollen. So if we go back, that Thursday I played Thursday I played a rugby game. Friday I played a polo game. Saturday I had a soccer game, and I woke up Sunday morning with my left leg swollen. The top of my leg. So of course thought it was a sports injury, and it was aching, and didn't think much of it, but it kept getting a little worse. Finally, woke up my parents. It was an early Sunday morning, and my mother noticed I had some broken blood vessels at the top of my leg. So we went to the hospital. They're thinking a blood clot. The local hospital tested that out, and they're like, it's not a blood clot, but something's not right. And luckily, we're only 40 minutes from downtown Toronto, which has the hospital for sick children, which is world-renowned hospital. So luckily, they shot us down there, and hours later, with a few biopsies, they discovered I had a stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a tumor size of a grapefruit that had wrapped around my left ureter. So they figured it shut off my left kidney probably for about a month, but you didn't know. But what happened is it finally got big enough, it pinched on the lymph nodes of my leg. So my leg wasn't draining fluid, so my leg was swelling. So within that 24 to 36 hours of every discovery of figuring what's going on, they pretty much told me, very good chance I'm going to lose my left leg. Left kidney is going to probably go for sure. And then they told my parents, obviously they're not telling a 14-year-old kid, they said, we got a 50-50 chance. She's got 6 weeks to live unless we can go for the Hail Mary right now. Mm-hmm. So they literally threw every chemotherapy drug at me, put me on it's called the Berlin protocol. I remember it was very intensive. I remember the doctor first coming in and telling me, listen, we're going to hit you with a bunch of drugs. You're going to feel like you're getting beat up with a baseball bat. And the second you start to feel better, we're going to beat you up again. And I was like, okay, how bad could it be? They're just giving me medication. And it was pretty damn bad. It was that. I mean, I was I think 135 pounds at the time, went down to 104. All the side effects of mouth sores and everything, and living on morphine drips and, feeding tubes and, went through the whole thing. It was, I think 22 spinal taps through it all. They were shooting chemotherapy up through my spine and testing. And anyway, it was a mess. But it was a very intense, strong battle, but short, probably 4.5 months. So like I said, the day I went in was June 7th, 1992. And probably went to, I guess I was back at school the beginning of December. And I started playing back on the basketball team right before Christmas. So it was an intense battle, but luckily everything they tried on me worked, and we got through it.
Well, did you ever going through that process, and did you ever think, were you concerned that you wouldn't be able to play sports again?
Absolutely. I mean, that was my first thing was, especially that summer, I was really starting to amp up a little more with the polo. I had a big summer plan. My father had lent me more of the horses, so I had a little more firepower to go play with. We had a nice plan set up, and I probably got 4 or 5 practices in before June 7th, and then this hit. So it was very frustrating, but it helped because it actually basically really pissed me off and got me quite motivated to beat this and get over it. There was never a question of death. It was spoken about in my family. I never even thought it was possible. Obviously, my parents were told that, but it was never brought up. My family was huge support of, we were very with keeping things as light as we can, and joking and fighting, and then we fought through it. So sports definitely helped me with that kind of. I turned it into in my mind, I said, God's testing me, for whatever reason, and I'm going to win. And there's no question, I put it in a game scenario, and this was a battle, and there's no question I need to win. So I fought through it, and you win and you move on.
So speaking of polo, talk about the training process for that. And obviously, I said earlier, it's a tough sport, and you got to practice like pretty much every day, I guess. But talk about your training. How did you go about your training? And obviously, you lived on a horse farm. So did you train with all the horses that you had on your farm?
So it was funny, back then there was no training. I mean, it was you're playing, and like most sports, you never saw. You look back in hockey. I mean, Guy Lafleur would smoke cigarettes in between periods and eat hot dogs. And now you got these guys on these massive, regiments and health and training 365 days a year. So it was similar. Polo's changed like that as well. Back then, I remember when my first professional season, I was told flat out, do not go to the gym. You'll bulk up. You won't be as limber. You won't be as flexible. I'm at 17 years old. I was throwing a football at halftime. I almost got fired because you're going to throw your shoulder out. What are you doing? It was all, if you're not on a horse, then, everything else, you're going to be in a bubble. So it was much like that. So no, there was really no training, just a lot of, riding, living on the horse, a lot of working around with the horses is a lot of physical activity anyway. So, I mean, you're definitely fit. But then as years progress and how we are now, I mean, now I'm trainers and, you're on a schedule and you're in a diets and, every, like anything, all the new kids and athletes coming up, they're very tuned and focused as all the sports are now. So we have to stay well trained on and off the field. So it's a lot more training now than, of course, when I started.
Yeah, speaking of your first season, take us back to your first season and your first ever competition, and how nervous were you going into your first competition, and now seeing from that day to now, and you're being in the business for 31 years, which is amazing. And let's talk about that, like over the years, but to your first competition.
Yeah, so when I was playing at home, like I said, it was a very low level. So I mean, you can compare it to playing 12-year-old softball. And, that's what I was doing. And then literally in a matter of months, I was, playing in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So it was one thing, it was a complete shock because I had no idea what I was getting into. But on the other side, it was probably a blessing that I had no idea what I was getting into. You didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't, you weren't too many things in your head. You're just going out there. So, and I in 95 is when I started playing professionally. I remember, well, the story is a friend of mine, my good friend still to this day, my brother's best friend. He was also a professional. He was a manager of one of the major teams down here. And they were playing the U.S. Open final here in Long Island at Bethpage in 1995. And he said, come down and come watch us and come watch the final. And I had never seen polo at that level. I'd never seen anything like that. That was in September. So I came down, watched the team play the final. Just an awe meeting, some of the best players in the world. And it was just like an all-star game. I just couldn't believe it. I didn't even know this existed.
Wow.
Went back to school. Then he called me again. And at Christmas, he said, come down and visit me in Florida. We're having, just come see me. I've never been to Florida. I said, well, that's great. Sure. I have a couple weeks off for Christmas break. So I go down there and, I start kind of practicing a bit with him. And then all of a sudden he puts me in a practice with the team owner. And the team owner comes with me after the practice. He goes, all right, kid, you're going to stay and play the Florida season with us. And I was like, what? I go home on Wednesday and, they give me a slap in the head. It's like, no, you're not going home. Of course, it was a tryout to go down. My parents knew about it. Everyone knew about it. And I called my parents and they're like, well, we knew you was a tryout. And don't worry, we've got a tutor lined up and the school sending you your work. And it was back then my school would fax work to me. I mean, it was back in faxing days. And I started my career then. I started with them, and then ended up exactly in that September the next year playing myself at Bethpage in Long Island with the same team in the U.S. Open final that I went to watch a year before. That was at Oz. I was actually playing in it exactly 1 year later.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a very quick turnaround. But from being a spectator and not knowing what was going on to a year later, I was I was out in center field, basically the World Series of polo, playing in the World Series. So it was a quick entry, but then I stayed with it. I stayed with that team for 3-4 more years. Moved on to another team for another 3-4 years, and then just as we progress now. So 31 years later, still chasing around the white ball.
Wow, that's amazing. And speaking of chemistry, you brought obviously all different sports. You need teamwork and chemistry. Chemistry is really important to win championships. And for you, it's amazing when we see, like, for example, Kentucky Derby. You see all the horse racing and the chemistry between the rider and the horse. And for you guys, how obviously polo, you need to be on point pretty much every time. But how do you get the chemistry down with the horse, especially in polo?
That's where we're with them every day. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
7 days a week job, and you're picking your horses, you're riding your horses, you're on them, and you're weeding through them. Which ones are working, which ones aren't. So it's a bond you have, and it's every day. We don't have a day off. There's days lighter than others, but the horses need the care and the work every single day. So we're constantly with them, and you have that bond, and you understand what their traits, what their good and bad parts are, and hopefully there's more good than bad. And we work together every day, every night. So you get it. You get the bond. You get the horsemanship, and the horses are obviously a massive part of it, the biggest part of it. So it's you're constant trying to upgrade your horses, get the best you can, get the best out of what you have, and constantly looking for that next superstar that's coming along. So it's every day. It's a daily thing. It's a lifestyle. We always say, it's not a job. It's a lifestyle, because my family, everything, they got to travel with me, and we're in it. Right now, my barn is 40 feet away. We're with them all the time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and speaking of you won a lot of awards in your career, prestigious awards. And what's that been like for you, especially for you and your family? How special is that for you to have awards, to get those awards, and how hard you worked to get to this point?
No, it's nice to see accomplishments. I mean, I have my own goals that I'm happy with. I mean, to win an award is nice. I mean, obviously, like anything, to win tournaments and be a part of the team is key. It's not an individual sport. So it's great to be able to form a team together, work together, practice together, and then to have the success at the end. Like any sport, it's very fulfilling. I could say after 30 years, there's probably 5 or 6 different teams that I could say that that we had that. Wow, I mean, it doesn't come every year. But you have those teams that you're like, this is, I wish we could keep going forever. But, we have a handicap system, and that changes. So that can also change what players you get each year. So we're constantly a revolving door with players and teams usually. So depending on what the handicaps move, they can go up, you can go down. Anyway, it's a whole other conversation. But we unfortunately don't usually get to stay with the normal. You have your core team, but you're a player that's getting moved in or out usually. But there has been times when the 4 of us have clicked, and it's fun.
Wow.
You realize why you're doing it.
Yeah, so whoever doesn't know about how the polo season works, can you explain how when you guys get into competition season, and how often do you guys compete?
Yeah, so the main big season is down in Wellington, Florida, which is about 15 minutes west of Palm Beach. That's pretty much the mecca for polo in the winter, and all equestrian sports, for dressage, for show jumping. The best of the best head there from January to April, pretty much. And that's where the biggest tournaments are. The U.S. Open is now moved to Florida. We play that in March and April. So that's the Gold Cups, and so that's the big scene. So we're there competing there. And then right now for myself, the team I'm with, I'm year round with them, fortunately. So then we come to Long Island. We're in Old Westbury, and we play in Greenwich, Connecticut, in the Hamptons during June, July, and August, and September. And we also have our own club, the Meadowbrook Polo Club here. So then we play there and base out of here in the summer. So I'm 8 months in Florida, pretty much 4 months here in New York.
Yeah, speaking of Wellington, Florida, you have an event coming up February 27th at the Polo Center. So talk about that event and where can people get tickets if they're interested in coming and helping out?
Yeah, for sure. So I started about now 11 years ago. I have a Polo for Life. It's a foundation that I started for pediatric cancer. Obviously, because of my history, I decided when I was about in my 30s that it was time to give back and grow up and start talking about it, which I never wanted to do. So I started this foundation. And what we do, we have a annual event called Polo for a Purpose. And this will be our 11th year in Wellington doing it. I believe we're just a little bit over the 4 million mark we've raised so far. It's getting bigger each year. I mean, we're raising anywhere from $700 to $1 million for the one event. So what we do is it's at the National Polo Center, which is the main. It's basically the biggest polo venue for sure in North America, probably the second biggest in the world.
Wow.
And we get to play there in the stadium. We put on a game, and then I'll have a big dinner and entertainment and everything after, and auctions, and a real fun event. I mean, my key of these events are there's a million charity events, especially happening in Wellington at that time, and trying to make it different and fun. Obviously, using polos much more different than most, but just making it a fun party. Not just the typical, silent auction, sit there, wait for everyone to finish, you can go home. So we make it real fun. Usually we have some type of theme, and a few years back we did an Indian theme, and I rode in on an elephant, and
Oh wow,
we made it fun.
nice.
So that's our main goal, our main thing each year. And then I've started now in New York. I started last year doing a New York event in September. We did last year. This year, unfortunately, the morning of it rained and we got rained out. But I'm starting now in New York, and then we're supposed to be starting in LA as well, hopefully for next year. This year we were supposed to start there, but the wildfires in LA in the spring basically took the club out. So we're waiting for that. So my goal is to do now, to spread it between Florida, New York, and LA, and do 3 events a year. But Florida is our mothership. That's our main one that's just growing exponentially each year, and we've done really well. So that's the one we're most proud of, and I'm trying to now make these other places just as big.
Yeah, and I help out with a lot of charity. I'm part of a foundation, and I do a lot of charity events also, and we help out all the kids. It's all about helping out the youth now in this generation, and I'm part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He used to coach in the NFL, but he's coaching college football, and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking. And it's still happening, and it's horrible these days. Human trafficking. So that's one foundation I'm part of. We're trying to prevent that, and it's just when I see kids having the opportunity to play sports or to have the resources now, it's truly special. And for you, and for you, and seeing your kids, the kids that you work with, and the families that you work with, how grateful are you to be in that position to see them to fulfill their dreams also?
Yeah, no, very, very thankful. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, every day there's, the cancer is just, as we know, ridiculous. It's everywhere. And it's even harder to seeing it when there's little kids that they don't know what's going on. And then to see the stress that goes on the families. So I see both sides. Obviously, I've been the kid, and I've been the patient, and I've also known, what the families go through. I mean, it's not just the kid that has the cancer. The whole family feels like they do. So the siblings, everything gets jeopardized, and then financially it can be a nightmare. So that's what we really want to step in and help. We can help sometimes financially, depending, what we do a lot is helping pay the regular bills, your mortgages, your car payments, your insurances, give you 2 or 3 months of leeway. So you just got to worry about your child, not worrying about if your car is getting repossessed while it's in the hospital parking lot. So things like that. And then we also, we also set up programs with our beneficiaries that, anything from educational things to tutoring systems to transport to, it's crazy. And, where I live in Wellington is a very, very nice area. And literally 10 minutes away, there's parents that can't even afford the gas to get their kids to treatment. which you would never expect. You're seeing more Mercedes and BMWs and sports cars, and you wouldn't think there's somebody in that area that can. And there's thousands. It's horrible. So we, even giving gas cards, we do like any level that we can help the family and the child. And also I do events at my barn and bring the kids out and let them see the horses and try to get as much involved as they can too, and try to keep their mind off what they're doing. So we try a little of everything. Like I said, I know the pain that they're and their family's going through. So I'm just trying to do my small part to see if we could help out.
Well said. And I like to talk about families, and obviously, especially in different sports, when the players have to travel a lot, and every season the wives of the players or the husbands of the players, they sacrifice for to stay home for the kids or work from home. So talk about your families and your family. How grateful are you to have their support from day one and throughout your career?
My family's massively supportive. I mean, through from starting with my parents to my brother and sisters to everyone that helped me get going and got me out of the house, and even from the beginning stages, my father, my brother teaching me how to swing, how to hit a ball, how to everything started with them. And I got my opportunity, and then they've been extremely supportive all the way through. And then now with my own family, with my wife, and I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old that are, luckily, I'm very fortunate with the team I'm with now and our schedule that they're able to come with me. So we don't go, we're not far many days apart at all. Unlike most sports where you see, you're traveling city to city, we're pretty much, we're pretty secure. Obviously, like I said, 8 months in Florida and 4 months in New York. So, we have a house. You get a house in each spot, and we get to come home. The kids, we get to stay together. So I'm very, very fortunate. I don't think my wife's missed a game ever. She's always there, and with the kids. So I'm very fortunate, very lucky that this particular situation I'm in right now has been very beneficial, very helpful.
Wow. Yeah. So what advice would you give to anyone who's trying to get into the sport of polo, and what are some of the key advice, key points you would give to someone that's trying to join your sport?
No, the key is I say a lot with like hockey. You got to learn how to skate before you play. So, depending on your riding background, obviously there's many ways of riding. Any of the clubs around here and have polo schools. Like we have a polo academy here at Meadowbrook Polo Club, where we could take kids, we could take people, first time riders, or people. We get a lot of crossover, from show jumping, and they're like, I want to get into polo now. Mm-hmm. So as much of a riding background as you have helps. Just like the better skater you are, the easier it's going to be to shoot the puck. So
yeah,
that's key. But there's opportunity everywhere. Everyone's looking to get new people into the club or into the sport. So there's many polo schools. There's many private instructors. Everybody, we need to grow the sport. So everybody's kind of on the same page of new blood is great. So it's not an easy sport. It's not a cheap sport. You get a horse and you're paying for it every day of the year. It's not like you put your sticks and your skates in the closet and see you next season. So, there's definitely nothing cheap about it as far as, trying to do it, especially as an amateur. But it's exhilarating. I mean, everyone says they get the hook, they start playing and I want more. I want to play harder. I want to play faster. I want to get more horses. I want to play in higher levels, and it happens. It's addictive. So it's like I said, there's many places, many polo clubs. You can Google any club in the city you're in. Obviously in Florida, there's a million of us. That's where the best of the best are.
Yeah.
So, there's plenty of opportunity there. Here in New York as well, we have, like I said, we have our own polo school here in the summers. So we're very, very willing to help anyone. We want, like I said, getting more people into the sport.
Hello. Hi, who's this? Hi, buddy. Welcome to the show. Hi.
All right, sorry.
So since I gotta ask you this: since you grew up in Canada, who was your favorite hockey team growing up, and your favorite all-time hockey player?
Well, very easy. It's still my favorite team is Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm sticking with them, and I don't know, we're at 50-something years without Stanley Cup. See here, buddy. And so I'm sticking with Toronto Maple Leafs, and I would say for first my all-time. I mean, Wayne Gretzky's always been a childhood thing from the beginning. So I'd have to stick pretty strong with that.
Hey, buddy.
1 sec.
Yeah. So talk about for you. Talk about your next, obviously your next competition coming up, and what do you do? What do you usually do to get ready for your next competition?
Well, we just finished yesterday our last game here in New York.
Mhm.
I moved to Florida on Wednesday. We start moving everything now, so horses, everything's on the move. I'll be playing a fall league in Wellington starting around the 12th or 13th of October.
Yeah.
But then what we're doing, the real stuff the big stuff is when we start in January. So all the main horses now are going to get on a break. They to be sent them to South Carolina. As a beautiful turnout facility we use there. And they all basically just get to live in big fields, eat lots of grass, rest. And then I'll bring them all down by about mid-November. Everything will be in Florida. And then we get about 5 weeks of training to get ready for the season in January. So it's now when I go back, I do more stuff in the gym. Now we're a little less on the horses in the fall, that I hit myself harder for the next few months to get as fit as possible by probably the end of November.
Wow. So before we let you go, since you're in New York now, have you gotten a chance to go to the Ryder Cup?
No, it's funny. We're 15 minutes away from it.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, Bethpage is where the polo field is, which are the actual polo field is being used as a parking lot right now for the Ryder Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I didn't end up going. I figured I'm here on a beautiful farm. I'm just going to stay here and avoid the crowds. But no, I've been watching on TV though for sure.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup is amazing, and the atmosphere in that stadium, that course is truly great. I have to get there myself one day, but the people are, some of the fans are great there, and also Michael Jordan always makes appearances at the Ryder Cup, and he's always there. But the Ryder Cup is something special when they host it in New York, though. It's really
no, I've been seeing some highlights. It looks like the crowd is getting quite into it.
Yeah, but I know I'm sure you're busy right now, but with the kids. But thank you for your son for making an appearance here, and But Brandon Phillips, I just want to say thank you for joining, and shout out to MJ again for setting this up. You have an inspiring story, overcoming cancer, and now becoming one of the great best polo players out there. Keep up the great work. We're going to continue following your journey, and I'm going to see if I can make it to the February 27th event. I'm going to let MJ know about that, and
that'd be great.
But keep up the great work. Thank you for joining the show, and glad that we are connected. And just keep up the great work. Shout out to your family, and good luck.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.